All right, we're back for another episode of Kenny Night. So I need everybody to hit that subscribe button, give us some thumbs up. But first, of course, as you can see, we have a special guest. You hadn't seen her in a while. Your favorite, our favorite, Nicole Monique is back. That's what she said, sports. So Nicole, tell everybody where they can find your show.
Hey guys, well, it's good to be back. You can follow me on Twitter at TWSS Sports. You can go to my website, twssports.com, Instagram, She Said Sports, and of course, like me on Facebook at That's What She Said Sports.
All right, so y'all got that. Make sure you follow Nicole. Kane, man, how things going?
Man, everything's good, man. I'm a little worried about my partner's safety there, but everything's all good.
In case you guys haven't figured it out, today's episode is going to be special. We're going to break down Black Panther, and I got two experts.
I thought we were going to talk about ISIS and terrorists.
I don't know much about that, so you two can talk among each other. But we got two experts. First, we have personal acquaintance of the Black Panther, my man Kane, who actually went to high school with Boseman.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah, and then Nicole lives in Atlanta, which is basically Wakanda because that's where they film most of the movies. So
yes, welcome to Wakanda.
So first off, let me just say, I'm glad that after like the first day of the movie, I stopped seeing pictures of people dressed like the Black Panther party going to the movie. Okay. Maybe watch a preview or something before you go through all that trouble.
I mean, that's literally crazy that people thought that's what the movie was about.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about lack of doing any kind of research or reading whatsoever. I mean, come on.
Now it makes sense why people had rifles at the movie. I was like, what's
Well,
just kidding.
Hey, I had a cousin. I'm not gonna say his name. After he saw the movie, he called me and he's like, "Yeah, I like the movie, but it wasn't what I was expecting." Like. So it's gonna be like Black Power movement or something. Marvel Studios that didn't take you off.
Wow.
Like, did you?
I don't doubt this. I mean,
yeah, those people here in Atlanta who want to know where is Wakanda in Africa. I'm like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
It's next to Zamunda.
I told him it was in South Africa.
No, you should tell him it's right next to Zamunda. That's
close enough.
It's perpendicular to Zamunda. Of course, I'm Cameroonian, as you can tell from my hat. So not everybody knows much about the continent of Africa as I do. So
you are Iraqi. That's what you are.
No.
Pakistan?
Go ahead, man. All right, so let's get to it. All right. Obviously, you guys knew a little bit about what to expect. You'd seen Marvel movies before.
Yeah.
What surprised you most about the movie? Nicole, how about that?
Ladies first.
Well, I don't think there was anything about the movie that surprised me, to be honest with you. I'd say for a personal level, I guess what surprised me is that I was intrigued throughout the whole thing. I'll be honest with you. There's been a couple Spider-Mans and a couple Thors where I either found myself nodding off or it was too long. So I think with this one, and I didn't read the comics, my brother did, but I did do my research and I already knew the backstory. Like I knew of Black Panther, I just didn't read the comics. So I just found it entertaining literally from beginning to end, which I feel like Marvel put like some extra on it. Whereas some of the other movies are either way too long or they go off course, or like the battle scenes, you're like, oh my God, is this going to end? It's like everything was timed perfectly. And then when the credits start rolling, a lot of us didn't want to leave because we know there's always that extra. And of course there was. And then even after that piece, we were still sitting there like we were waiting for like Black Panther 2. So I feel like they did a great job on the timing piece.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, I don't think anything surprising. I guess the surprising thing to me is the the support of the movie. You know, not the movie itself, the support and the expectations and the way it met expectations. This was supposed to be a blockbuster movie. Of course, all Marvel movies are just about, you know, summer blockbusters. But it surprised me that it met the expectations, it met the hype, and that it is, you know, going on, you know, $750 million in sales.
Yeah.
In, you know, a little over a week. I mean, it's absolutely crazy what this movie has done, living up to the expectations and the hype that was surrounding the movie. And so that was, I mean, it's not surprising. It is surprising, but the support that our community has gave it, and not only our community, but worldwide what it's getting.
Yeah, and let me just add to that. Just think if we all came together and voted like that, what we could do.
How many times have you heard that?
I'm just saying, you had a lot of people want to go see Black Panther who didn't vote. I'm just putting it out there. So I mean the Black Dollar is amazing, but if you actually if we put that energy into other stuff, how amazing that would be.
Yeah, you're right about that, definitely.
Well, give us some better candidates to get people excited to go vote, and then you know. But anyway,
Chadwick Boseman needs to run. I guess he got to dress up like the Black Panther.
No, he's got to wait because The Rock is going to be the next president.
Oh
anyway.
God. Anywho.
Mercy. All right.
He's going to tell Trump, know your role and shut your mouth.
So Monique, I wanted to ask you, I mean, there were several life lessons, stories that you can take from the movie. What was one that you took from the movie?
Well, first, let me just say, I feel like this movie was kind of a coming out party for Black women. And I say that just because I think, especially it's sad in 2018, Black women are either seen on reality shows or, you know, the depictions, there's really like no really strong depictions of us.
Right.
Or we've been like.
I'm going to say, because that's part surprised me was the women in the movie were so strong.
Right. Yeah. And I felt like it showed not only our strength, but then we could be a love interest. It showed a different shade of us. I think a lot of times people got so used to, you know, the Halle Berrys of the world. And here you have these beautiful, strong, dark women, you know, and then with short hair. I thought that was nice. I mean, so I just feel like it just put Black women on a totally different plane. So, I mean, I love that piece of it. And I think one of the lessons, because there were so many, to know where you came from. I think that was a big lesson. And then also to not forget those who it's like you've made it or you've gotten somewhere, but don't forget those left behind. And I think that was so, because even though we had a villain, you found yourself kind of, you know, there was some sympathy there for the villain. You know what I mean? Which was interesting because you don't find it in other movies.
Well, I think particularly as Americans,
yeah,
right, we're going to identify with the American character.
Right.
Be interested to see in other parts of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because, I mean, you have to remember these were Africans. And then the villain was African American. Right. And then, I mean, just the piece, what he said, I still get goosebumps when he was like talking about jumping off the slave ships at the end.
Yeah.
That, to him, that was freedom. I mean, that was deep. And I don't know if a lot of people actually caught that or realized, because at the end of the day, you can kind of say we're a people that, you know, when people say go back to Africa, well, we're not, where are we going? I mean, you know what I mean? So it's like, this is home. You know, so it was just,
Wakanda, that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
And Wakanda is awesome. It has to be, because like in America, purple drink will cause you to die. In Wakanda, purple drink gives you superpowers. You know what I mean?
Well, and did you guys notice, I mean, with that too, just the history lesson about colonialism. And then, you know, I think Wakanda is what would have happened if white people hadn't inhabited Africa. And I'm not saying, I mean, if they hadn't, but maybe
colonizers, right?
Exactly, or if they would have about it a different way. I mean, it was really deep. And I'm hoping the younger
kids not been robbed of their treasures, right?
Yeah.
And you know, you have the lesson of, you know, what happens when you lie, right? Like the father's lie came back to haunt them.
Yeah.
You know, what happens when you leave your children behind or leave people behind, you know.
Yeah, that was one of the major lessons I took, that, you know, leaving or abandoning or not nurturing children when they're younger can have so much ramifications when they get older. You know, I'm sure if they would have brought him back, you know, at the time when he was a kid, of course, none of that probably would have happened.
Right.
He wouldn't have been on to be a mercenary and all of this stuff. You know, he probably would have grown up to be just a normal citizen, maybe part of the royal family and all. But, you know, not leaving those kids behind is a major. And
then you guys love, too, that the black father was in the picture. I mean, good or bad, they had black dads. And you don't see that a lot either.
Yeah. You know, I mean, there's so many positive spins from this movie and great life lessons, aside from the great story plot and movie that it was. That made the movie so powerful, you know, and that everybody can relate and get something from. You know, you ask people, everybody gets a different story. You know, I've heard at least, you know, 5, 6, 7 different stories that people have got from this movie that they remember and take with them when they left the theater, man. So that's great about this movie.
All I know is when I left the theater, I wanted to shave my head and I wanted a spear. That's all I know. My husband was like, calm down.
Oh, yeah.
At least you didn't say tattoo on the head, so, you know.
Not yet.
I mean, they really showed, you know, women in power, strong, you know, loving, supportive. I mean, these women in this movie kind of covered the spectrum of what you want. I was like, damn.
And what else too? The comedy. Can we talk about the king of Jabari?
Oh, I mean, that was my man. That was my favorite character.
Awesome.
That was my favorite character.
Yeah.
You know, not only were they ice cold, but they were apes too. So, you know. But that's right. You know. He was funny. But there's also a realness to all the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I read that every tribe represented Wakanda, their outfits and things were based on actual African tribes.
Because the Dora Milaje was actually based on a true, there was actually a group of women who were actually soldiers in Africa back in the day. They were considered like Amazons. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, you know, great movie all the way around. I mean, I really liked his sister. I like his sister's character.
Yeah.
She's really supportive. But the one thing I really liked about her is, you know, she, of course, she was a strong, powerful woman, but they showed how smart she could be.
Right.
That she was one of the smartest people in the world that came up with all these inventions, created all these things, came up with all these concepts, his weapons, his gear. So all of this stuff, I mean, it just showed positive outline from this story. I love it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys.
Awesome. Let's not forget that. But.
Let me ask you guys, if you could be one character in the movie, who would you want to be?
I'm Black Panther. I got to have it. I mean, I mean, what's not to like? I mean, you're the king of Wakanda. I mean, did you see the place? Did you see the place? To be the king? Oh, come on, man. That's an easy choice for me. I know Eric. I put Eric up in he can stay up in the mountains up there.
Yeah, I'd probably go with that. You know, like I don't want all that pressure being a world leader and people following me and, you know.
You just want to lead your people and stay up in the cold, huh?
That's right. Like we good up here, you know, send us some vibranium, whatever they call it stuff.
You can't have that.
Well, I would want to be Okoye, his lead soldier.
She was
tough. The general. Yeah, she was.
To me, that was the most powerful scene in the movie was when the rhino was going.
Oh my God.
He stopped the rhino to and like got off and bowed down to her. You know, like just think about a man, a warrior, you know, bowing down to a woman. You know, normally you would never, ever see that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that was
but
cool.
That shows he respected her as his equal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you see the plot coming? I know you may have read the comics or saw some in the background, but did you see it coming? The Killmonger and T'Challa showdown, or did you know where he was coming from? What he was trying to do at the beginning of the movie? Where he was trying to get to?
No, I didn't.
No. And they played, and I intentionally made sure I didn't read anything about the movie other than just the basic stuff as far as who's in it. But No, I didn't see it coming, and so it played out well because they built up Claw as like the guy, right?
Yeah.
You're expecting him to be this main villain, and then halfway through he's gone. Like, oh, where's this going?
Yeah, it's like, okay, now Claw's going.
Right.
What's gonna happen now?
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you guys: do you think all these UFO sightings have just been Wakandan airplanes all this time?
Well, they haven't found anybody clawed, so I don't.
Right, good point.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean,
so Kane, what can you tell us about Boseman, man? What was he like in high school?
man, he was just he was kind of quiet. He was a chill dude. What's that?
He was in the drama club.
I don't remember if we had a drama club in high school, but he's got a brother, Kevin, as well. They were cool dudes, man. I mean, they grew up not too far away from me, a neighborhood about 10 minutes away. So they wasn't too far away from us. They were, they kind of hung out with everybody. Chad played basketball. They were some cool guys, man. I wouldn't say they were, the in crowd or, the loud or the jock kind of guys, but they kind of got along with everybody. Cool dudes. Everybody loved them, man. They were good people. Their families.
Surprised about his success?
I mean, I'm so knowing him. I'm not surprised at all that he's successful. I mean, his family, like I said, his family's rock solid. They're great people. Yeah. He's got a good family behind him. He wasn't the kind of guy that got trouble or
Angela Bassett for your mom. I mean, that's a great start.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I mean, yeah. He's a great guy. So I'm not surprised at his success at what he's doing. Yeah. It's just the path that he chose to be successful on. And I know the whole, his family, cousins, and the whole town of Anderson is just so proud of him. He came back home for a little while, and it was just a big thing when he came back home there. So.
And that's Anderson, what?
Anderson, South Carolina.
Okay, all right, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, you're in Atlanta, so you drive straight up 85. It's the first city that you hit when you go into South Carolina.
Well, no, I'd heard of it, but I didn't know it. I wanted to make sure. So for whatever reason, I thought you were from Florida. Hence Miami, all behind you.
Nah, I just grew up a lover of a really powerful football team. That's all.
I gotcha.
Hater.
Yeah.
I was raised right. Like over here.
And Nicole, we know you got somewhere else to go. So in the interest of time, let's jump to the latest NCAA mess. And we all know the story. Sean Miller, kids getting supposedly money from agents, whatever. And all this has created this sort of backlash against the NCAA. So let's see. What do you guys think will be the solution the NCAA needs to institute?
Well, I think the NCAA could have avoided a lot of that if they were to have either paid the athletes or, come off some of this money. I mean, they're raking in billions at the blood, sweat, and tears of a lot of these young athletes. So, and then they're a nonprofit. So that's why they created this mess. So the whole idea of, what did we do wrong? You created this. And, even though some of the coaches and all that, they're wrong. But again, the NCAA kind of fostered this whole thing. So I don't know if they're going to have to either have some sort of like LeBron has suggested, and even our former president Barack Obama has suggested this, like a separate league for the NBA maybe, and you maybe even have to do it for football as well. But they're going to have to come up with some of this money, and they're going to have to kind of loosen some of these rules and regulations that they put in these schools that are quite hypocritical, because of course schools are going to do whatever they have to do to recruiting. I mean, we've seen the downfall: Miami, Louisville, Michigan State.
I'm sorry, what was that first name you said again?
But what I'm saying is, all of these schools are guilty. It's just unfortunately some get caught, and that's what's sad. But they're all guilty of it. And the NCAA always sits back and they want to punish folks and take away pennants and trophies and things that and the other. But you created this monster, so it's coming back to haunt them. And I don't blame the athletes. Some of the coaches should have known better as far as some things they might have been asking for. But the NCAA, they're gonna have to fix it and not just pass out punishments, because that's not gonna help it. Because you're gonna find guys then they're gonna follow the LeBron and Kevin Garnett's and Kobe Bryant's. They're not gonna go to college, or they're gonna be the one and done, and that's not gonna help, as far as the NBA or the NFL. So the NCAA, they're gonna have to really just do some soul searching and figure out. I say scrap it and start over, honestly.
Well, I think either one or two things happen. Because really, if you're the NCAA, I mean, you get some bad press, but they're not losing any money, right?
They're not losing anything, but they're also not helping these athletes who some of them end up.
I mean, they're not. But what I'm saying is the powers that be like the system the way it is.
Of course they do.
Of course. Yeah, right. Because they're sitting on top of the cash cow. Of course they're
the only way the NCAA can really get hurt is if the Power 5 conferences or whatever they call themselves separate and start their own thing with their own rules, which if they band it together, they could do. And then the NCAA.
They could, but you know how much money they're raking in? That's even hard. I mean, that's why HBCUs are closing at such a fast rate, because they're not really spreading the wealth. That Power 5 is sucking everybody else dry.
Right, yeah. Because that's what the TV contracts are for, right? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation that that attacks, unfortunately, the kids that have nothing coming into it.
Yeah.
So these kids are really the victim, and you can't blame them for taking $100,000 when your mom's in the projects, or your grandmother's raising you, or you're in a bad situation at home. You got to think, these kids, okay, they get this college scholarship, they go to college, they're eating great. These college programs feed these athletes the best things they can find, the best things they need. They got a nice clean dorm. They've never had that before, and mom's still at home in the bad situation. Mother and sister are still at home in a bad situation. And you got to think, these kids are in a position to help their family for generations.
Right.
And can you blame them for taking this? No. Can you blame the coaches, because their job's on the line? How are you going to win football, basketball games if you can't get the best players in the country to come to your school?
Exactly.
Trust me. Kids from Southern Cal, from Florida, these kids come to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Have you ever been to Tuscaloosa, Alabama?
Yeah.
There is nothing there except for the University of Alabama. So how do you get a kid to leave that?
And a Waffle House. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, yes, okay, there is a great chance I may go to the pros. I mean, a better chance I may go to the pros from Alabama than if I went to HBCU or smaller, the Power 5 school. Yes, there is. So I don't blame these kids at all for taking these options. It's just the NCAA is just milking it for all they can. I mean, let's face facts. I mean, these kids can't even get, $20 from somebody to go out to a movie, to get a pizza. You can't even get a job.
Yeah, you can't even have peanut butter on your bagel.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
remember Todd Gurley signed a jersey, and it was like, I mean, he had to sit out games. I mean, it was bad. I mean, granted, he made the money back in the pros, but see, not everybody's a Todd Gurley either.
Exactly.
Well, and not everybody's guaranteed to get the pros.
Right.
Look what happened to Marcus Lattimore, right?
Yeah.
Where's leg up? I mean, he did get drafted, but he never actually played a down in the pros, and he got drafted much lower than he would have had he not tore his leg up. But with all that said, particularly with the college, with the one and done rule, it's not a college rule.
Yeah, that's an NBA rule.
Yeah.
Right?
It started because the NBA wanted to. They don't want to pay somebody coming out of high school they don't know too much about. Yeah, you got some high school film on this kid, but you don't know what his potential is going to be looking at these high school kids. If you think about it, these one and done players, when they're playing in high school, they're the best player in their county. Half of them are the best player in their state. And when they play these average teams, of course they're going to put up monster stats. But you can't translate that well to what they would do against grown men in the NBA. Yeah. So what they use college for is they made this rule. So we're going to use college in this 1 year as a kind of a developmental league, or we're going to get some more film on you against a little bit better opponent because now you're in college and now you're playing against all these other All-Americans and good basketball players. So
But
now we got the developmental system. Yeah, now we got this developmental system. We got 1 year of film on you, get some better competition. Now let's see what we get.
I mean, face it, we get tired of looking at the one and done rule. I feel like was created for Kentucky, but we're tired of seeing those players from Kentucky go to the 76ers. Like, let's shake it up a little bit.
Well, I'm tired of seeing these one and done players take. I mean, every year there's probably 7 or 8 of them, that come out are one and done. Yeah. And how many of these players have actually panned out to be, an all-star in the league in the last few years? Well, it's very few.
And see, this is where college basketball needs to work with the NBA. All right, I would say, NBA Player Association, you guys made the one and done rule, so you're going to help us manage this. If an agent gets caught or somebody associated with an agent gets caught funneling money to one of our players, you need to not let that agent represent any more NBA players, right? Like, because that's the only way you're going to stop it. The country's too big. It's too many people to manage. You can give money to a brother, a sister, mom. It's too many people to manage that, right? Especially for a college program where you're trying to make sure these guys are getting education, all this other stuff. Because we all, the one and done get all the focus.
These one and done kids aren't there to get an education. Their education is a year of practice so I can go to the NBA.
But that's only for maybe 20, 25 guys in the whole country. What I'm saying is, for all these guys, right? Yeah. If you cut agents off from their revenue source of representing NBA players, they're gonna be more careful about what they're doing. I guarantee you.
That's true.
They'll get paid under the table like everybody else does.
They're already doing that. But what I'm saying is,
I don't think you can really stop this problem. I really don't think you can stop it. Now, what I do think the NBA needs to do is, instead of a one and done, let's make it you stay 3 years or you go straight to the NBA. Your choice out of high school. That's what they need to do.
Now, that's a good idea.
That's one rule that I really think they need to put in place. Kind of like the NFL.
Like baseball does.
You got your choice. You can come straight out of high school and go to the NBA, or you can go to college and you have to stay for 3 years.
And the NBA is not going to one of those straight out of high school players because they're not. I mean, it's not. Again, everybody is a Kevin Garnett, a LeBron, or a Kobe Bryant. It's very few.
But that'll make you be more diligent about your decision.
Yeah, half of these teams will chance it because if you pass up that Kevin Garnett or that LeBron James or that Kobe Bryant, you got to take the chance. You're going to have to take the risk every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because trust me, college basketball now is so watered down, and the skill level is so much down since the 80s and the 90s. I mean, you think about some of those teams during the 80s and the 90s. Patrick Ewing's Georgetown. North Carolina with Jordan and James Worthy. The UNLV teams. The 91 Duke team with Laettner Hurley. You think about them; those were juniors and seniors on that team.
Yeah.
And even today, you can see it today when some of these big power programs with all these superstar freshmen, they run into some mid-major school that's got juniors and seniors, and they get beat. Yeah. It's because these guys have developed and learned how to play the game, and these guys are basically still high school guys.
Right.
That's true.
I mean, the NBA needs to, get a life. I mean, look, you can't have it both ways. You can either take the guy when he's young or take him developed after college. So, but I don't think the NCAA wants that. They want to keep exploiting the kid to get their money.
That's true.
All right. So I want everybody to leave a comment. Tell us what you think the NCAA should do. Is it NCAA problem or is it NBA rules creating a problem? But now we have to say goodbye.
It's the NCAA, not the NAACP.
All right. So Nicole, tell everybody
don't put the P in there.
Where they can find you on Twitter and on Instagram, and where they can find your show.
Yeah, well, guys, thanks for having me on. It's always fun. Anytime you want to talk about Black Panther, let me know. Always. But you can find me on Twitter at TWSS Sports, Facebook, That's What She Said Sports. Every week on, okay, Kane, every week on Spreaker.
There will not be a challenge today.
We haven't been on in a couple weeks because I was sick and it was just tons of stuff going on. So I'm excited that we're actually going to be back this week. So look out for our show.
I haven't invited to the show yet, but okay, go keep going.
Okay,
yeah, I don't ever get no invite.
It's coming. It's happening. Relax. So, but again, it's always fun to hang out with you guys. Oh, the hat's coming back on. That's my sign. That's my sign.
All right, so give everybody a quick synopsis of what they can expect from your show.
Well, it's me and I call him my code dude BG. Very similar to you guys. We talk a little pop culture, obviously a lot of sports. We talk everything from curling to football. You name it, we're going to talk about it. And we end every show with our Beast and Busters of the week. So if you want a good time, 2 sports fans, 2 different voices, definitely listen to That's What She Said Sports.
Hey, with that hat on, he's eligible this week. Trust me.
All right, you know. Next week I'm gonna have the lip plate. All right, so I'm working on
Oh
that.
God, no. All right, guys, thank you.
Suit. All right, Wakanda forever. Hey, have a good one, hey, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in. All right, everybody, have a great week.
Thanks. See you later.